So, welcome everyone to an In Conversation With. My name is Emma Smith. I'm the project manager with Empowered Conversations, and that is a project of Age UK Salford and Trafford. And I'm excited today and slightly nervous to be in conversation with Mary. Thank you, Mary, for giving your time today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll try to be as intimidating as I can to justify your nervousness.
No need, just be normal.
See, some people would say that is normal, but okay, I'll perform.
If you haven't been on one of these webinars before, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on our work, and then I'm going to go over, and then we're going to start a conversation. We're going to start with a poem from Maxine, because sadly she couldn't be with us today, but Mary will read out a poem from Maxine, so she sort of will be with us, and then we're going to start a conversation, and it's going to be a bit different to what we normally do. So at any point, put your comments into the chat, and at an opportune time I will pick them up and we will drop them into the conversation. Does that sound like a plan, Mary?
Sounds like wonderful, and I'm so happy to be doing it with all these faceless people. But at least they probably don't have to dress up, so they're lucky.
We're all just sat home smoking fags in the pajamas. That's just normal.
That's right. Wonderful. Well, thank you, and thank you, Emma. And for all of you who, well, you don't know me, some of you do, but I had the good pleasure of meeting Emma when I was in Manchester in January, I guess, because I was attending a conference, and Margaret Garner, who is on with us, and I had met Margaret. I won't do a whole genealogy, but I had met Margaret about, I guess, in the fall of last year when I did a workshop kind of based on the Joy of Dementia, You Gotta Be Kidding, which is the workshop and conversation series that brought me into Dementia Land. Anyway, I met Margaret there. Margaret introduced me to Emma. Emma and I met while I was there and just hit it off. And so and of course, any group or person that is interested in creating different kinds of conversations is my kind of person. I mean, in a way, I have spent the last, 40 some years of my life. In a way, I mean, there's a lot of ways to describe the community that I have been a part of creating for all those years. But one of my favorites, and I think one that captures it very well, it's a community of conversation. That what we're always doing is bringing different kinds of people together to create new kinds of conversations together, to play, to perform, and in that way to kind of, I would say, build bridges, but it's involving people in the very building of the bridges. It's not just teaching them how to walk over and meet in the middle, which is important. But we have to also be the ones who create the bridges that are helpful to us. And we've, in our practice, which I can say a little bit about, have found the activity of playing and performing together enormously valuable as a way to kind of, I don't know, level the playing field. Because when you're playing together, I don't know, all the pretense and kind of artifice and identities and scripts of life, just they're not very useful. It's not that they're not there. I mean, we're always carrying those with us, particularly as adults. But for the moment, and particularly in improvisation play, which is what has always been at the heart of what the work that we do in dementia, they're just, in a way, they get in the way of people creating something, because or what they are is kind of the fodder, if you will, the material for building, which can take them all different places, whether you want to or not sometimes. So I can say more about that. So I'm thrilled to be here. And, one of the things that Emma and I and Maxine, and I'm going to introduce Maxine in a minute, we're talking about when we were invited to do this is, and I don't know, it's interesting. I think it'll be probably a little bit more challenging with everyone writing. However, challenges are good, and we can just be as improvisational with those as anything else. But thing that I want to do is create a conversation. I don't want to have a conversation. And I know that sounds maybe like just a difference. Why, what do you call it when it's just a semantical? It's not a semantical difference. Um, but I'll touch on that in a minute. But first, I am really. I know Maxine wants to watch this, so I'll be careful about what I say since she will be seeing it. But Maxine Linnell, if you don't know her, please, please, please meet her. She has a website, and she's just one of the most brilliant writers, poets that I've ever had the privilege of meeting. She is a friend now, and she's one of my favorite conversational partners. And we just have conversations. They don't have to be about anything. They're not, because I think we both, in fact, we were talking about it when we were thinking about what we wanted to do here. And we were both kind of in agreement that we just didn't want to talk about what we know. And we both know a lot. We have a lot of experience. I don't want to overblow myself, but I could go on and on about a lot of things, I suppose. However, it's just, I don't know. At some point, you get tired of your own story. And I'm sure everyone has had that. Sometimes you're just sitting and you're going, wait a minute. Yes, I know this is a story I know how to tell, but really, can we break out of it? Can we make something else up? And in a way, I think that's how I, hopefully, on my good days, work with people and working with myself on being in the world of just having the conversations be created and what moves forward, what we're actually doing together as opposed. And I don't think that's just a series of informational or educational activity, although all that's important. None of this is, I'm not, it's really more a matter of how. But I wanted to, by way of introducing Maxine in her voice, I want to read a poem, which is called How to Talk to Me. So I thought it's one of my favorites of hers, but also I thought it was relevant because it's about how do we talk to each other. So I thought it kind of fit everything. So it's a little long, so I'll try to read it slowly, but I think it's worth hearing, and it'll give her some time here. Um, what are you here for? Have you come to occupy, entertain? What do you bring with you? What's your idea of who I am? Do you want to talk to dementia, or would you like to talk with me? Are you here to mourn who you think I was, to soak me in your loss, punish me for changing while you stay the same, or try to push me back? Are you here to show me that you care, to take control, make me do something you want? Are you here to love me in spite of who you think I am? Don't you remember me? Are you holding back your anger and your fear? You smother me in pity. I can't breathe. Are you grasping for your version of the past? Your mouth moves and your voice goes on and on. Your smile, that's not a smile that I can feel. Do you want to meet me as I am? Do you want to spend time with me? Look how the light spills into the room. Look at the grasses and the flowers outside. Don't they sway and dance in the breeze? Could you and I dance with them? I love to dance in my own way. Listen to my toes dancing. Put aside yourself and what you need from me, just for now. We're here, you and I. Take in this room. Take me in. Maybe I have something to say. I need time to drop through layers of shame and helplessness, time to find myself with you. I watch your mouth move, your eyes, wait for you to, I watch your mouth move, your eyes, wait for you to stop speaking. I look for the thoughts I want to share with you. A word comes out, it's wrong. You frown, sit forward, strain to hear. I try again, but I see you're already gone. You look at your watch, you look embarrassed. And then I cry or rage, give up. I wish you'd go if you can't truly stay. This hurts, you talking to me. Let's start again. Take me in. Be with me. Maybe touch my arm. Listen deeper than you've ever listened in your life. Listen to my hand, restless in my lap. Listen to my eyes, my shoulders. I'm here. I might not be who I was or who you want, but I have gifts for you and things to say. I'm here, and in this space you've made now, the thoughts begin to take a shape. There are things I can tell you now you can hear, and you can tell me how you feel inside. I'd like to know. My world is small, beautiful, deep. Will you hold my hand gently? Listen, my fingers reach out to you. I've learned so much here. I'd like to share my world with you. Now you're alongside me, holding my hand, listening. Now it's you and me. Let's talk together. Um, I would love, I mean, and I almost don't want to talk because I just think I just want it to settle in. And I don't know, that it. I am, the, it's just a lovely, and I find it very emotional because I think I have that experience of conversation all the time. And I think we all do of that wanting to be touched in ways that aren't there and you're just crying out for. So I would love to hear, I don't know, responses, but not descriptive. I mean, say whatever you want. I mean, I'm not. However, I would love to hear what, I don't know, emotionally how that impacted, where it took you, and anyone. Um, because I think that, no, I'm just going to leave it there. I would love to hear kind of where we're going with her words.
Judith says the power of touch and the needing to connect. That's what stuck out.
Mm.
Yeah. I think it's powerful how she creates that, what, you know, the connection that she wants. So she says this is how it is, but this is the one she wants, which is emotional and powerful and just quite raw, wasn't it? This is what she wants.
Yeah, and it's an invitation. And I wonder, because to me, I think conversations, and I don't want to, and again, I'm really working hard. I'm not trying to say they're good. We have the conversations we can create. So it's not a test of what are the good ones. And I'm thinking about empowering, since that's the, like, what is that? And how would we do that through conversation? Because I don't know. I think maybe we make an assumption we both know what empowering means and what conversation means, much less empowering conversations. But at a minimum, it seems to me it's got something that's got to be co-created. And
equitable as well. Yeah, co-create, so it's equitable, because in the first, how she describes the first half is there's no control. She has no control. You know, even in finding the words that she wants to share, the control is around time and the person looking at their watch.
Yeah.
So there's no control, but then in the conversation that she wants to have and the connection that she wants to have, that equality, that control, that it's shared rather than I'm just going to say meaningful things to fill up the time because I feel like that's what I should do. I'm going to read what said. Amanda said it's raw. Margaret said the seeing through what is happening initially. Kitty has said it screams, see me. Claire has said, even just the beginning bit, do you want to talk to me or talk to dementia? Yeah, that was so powerful, Claire. That's so powerful in itself, so eloquent. Amanda, yes, it really does scream, see me. There's such a longing there. And Laura said, really emphasizes the importance of recognizing the person behind the dementia. Yeah.
Right. So now let's remove the word dementia for a minute. I know this is about dementia, and obviously and Maxine lives with dementia, so I don't want to, I'm not ignoring that. On the other hand, and I just came back from New Zealand and Australia, where I led 5 workshops with a combination of people living with dementia, care partners, professionals in the field. Very, very lovely, and there was some variation. I think the title, I always make up titles, but I think it was kind of the joy of reimagining dimension, why the environments we create matter, which I can say a little bit more about if people are interested. However, one of the things that this, I don't know, one of the things I've been thinking about since that trip, and really building on 9 years now of being in the dementia conversation, is I'm becoming more and more leery. And this is me, I'm sharing me. I'm not making this a prescription. And I hope people will hear this in the spirit that I'm offering it. I think we make dementia too special. In the sense that we remove it from a whole complex life experiences and a life path that in fact, and many of the things that we are, and I think what's positive is I think there's a lot about dementia that allows us to say things that we probably wouldn't say about ourselves. So this is not a negative. On the other hand, I think we also deny and deprive ourselves of lived experiences that would actually be profoundly helpful when you're finally, much more up close and personal grappling with dementia, as I did with my mom, who passed away from late stage dementia. But so that's why I was saying, and again, people feel free to ask me questions or what do you mean, or I can't believe you said that. I please do not feel like you have to treat me like a special guest. I love it when people go, I don't know what you're talking about. Because often I don't know what I'm talking about. In a way, today I'm actually playing with some things I've been thinking about. So hopefully they'll be of use. But I was thinking about it. So let's just take the word dementia off of some of these sentences. So for example, and I'm not, sorry, I'm having a hard time reading names, but I think it's Laura. Says really emphasizes the importance of recognizing the person behind dementia. Well, what if you just said, wouldn't that be true of everyone? Recognizing the importance of the person behind the academic title, or in my case, who's a lesbian. Like you could, or just the person who you meet at the store. It's just, so I think that I love the caring and the respect that people are showing. And I guess I'm asking, and again, maybe, and think about it if you feel like you can share something, share it. I'm not asking people to say things that they're not comfortable with, but to begin to play with, for example, I'm always screaming, see me. I have that experience all the time and just day to day. And I'm not being critical. I love it, said with love, and I know I do it to others. We often don't see each other. We kind of, and in a way, that's why I wanted to come back to, and gosh, sorry, can't remember if it's something we were talking about in our pre or not. But the difference between creating a conversation and having a conversation. And to me, that's an important distinction because I think we often have conversations with each other. And I think, again, that's fine. I mean, in a way, they're utile. They get us through the day. If you're standing with your boss and you have to figure out something to do, you're not going to have a far-reaching philosophical conversation, probably. You're kind of going to be, okay, what do we have to do? On the other hand, I do think in all those situations, we could take a moment and just ask ourselves, how do we want to have this conversation? You know, how do we want to be in it? How do we want to shape it? What's the environment? And that takes a millisecond. It's not a matter of time. It's just, I think it's an attitude, it's an approach. Um,
Do you think you can do
and
that all the time, Mary?
you can do it all the time. And it's kind of almost like a sense of, what do I want to discover about this person, even for a moment? Um, because we think we know each other. I mean, it's just ingrained. And again, I'm not even being critical. I just think we very quickly assume we know each other as adults. Oh, we got that down. But now we know the labels. Okay, they have dementia, or they're pretty, or they're smart, or they're an academic, or they're dressed badly, or they're stupid. Like my gosh, we're a labeling culture. We can meet somebody in 36 seconds and have them down. And then a lot follows from that. It's a very human. So in ways both big and small, I don't know, do we all have the experience of, and as somebody said, I think this happens as you get older, you become invisible. Yeah. I think the more we're labeled, including, I mean, my gosh, we start labeling people relative to age. It's amazing to me. Like babies have this total freedom. They're babies for the most part don't get labeled in this kind of insidious way. They're kind of plain. But as soon as you kind of become, I guess, recognizable as about 6 years, let's say, well, then it begins to set in. Okay, now you're a young person and you kind of have to do this and you have to you can't play in the same way. But then you're a teenager. Oh my God, teenagers, they're the worst. Oh my God, we have such judgments about teenagers. Then you're 21. Oh my God, 21. Like we are a very reactive culture to age. We're crazy that way. But certainly, yes, as you get to be, and I know this, I'm now I'll be 71 this year. It's very clear to me as you get older, yes, you are that. But gosh, we make assumptions about people. And so, in a way, the creating of conversation, I don't know, maybe it's just an invitation to discover. So maybe it's a difference between walking through the park and taking the same old path that you always take, and that's fine. There's a lot to discover. I mean, even on those paths, if you're walking with discovery eyes, you can kind of, oh, okay, let me see what I've never seen before. And maybe you take a different path, or maybe it's like, where could you go conversationally? Is it curiosity? Is it, I think or is it just saying some and sharing some things and giving them things? And just to close this, and please feel free to, I know I'm kind of rambling, but I don't want to over talk. And so I'm kind of sharing. But the other thing I want to throw into the mix, and I think it does, and I think it's certainly relative to getting older and having dementia. But if you think about it, and I think everyone here has a relationship to dementia of some kind, even if you don't understand it, and I think, and Lauren, I know you wrote a question. I will, somebody can answer it. I'm not sure I'm the best one to, but I haven't forgotten it. But one of the things that the words that you hear most, and I know because I've written them endless times in articles or talks, is shame and stigma. I mean, if you talk about dementia, both the experience, not just the words, it's the experiences of it, is shame and embarrassment. And that has such, and it does, it has I think it contributes so much to, I mean, I just think the incomprehensibly dismissive and dehumanizing ways we relate to dementia. I don't, and honestly, as a human being, I don't get it. Like, what the fuck did people living with dementia do? I mean, dementia is dementia. My mom had dementia. She lost her capacity to speak. She was seeing she was seeing people. I realized they were imaginary to me, but I'm not going to impose that on her. She was enjoying them mightily. Um, but what is this kind of just ugliness and kind of need to just keep it so far away. But that's a bit of an aside. But I do think it has a lot to do with shame. So I was thinking, and this is something I actually really would love to share and play with you all, because I haven't given. It's not like this is something I'm steeped in, although it seems to me that and Maureen's sorry, Maxine's poem touches on this, which is part of the reason I really loved it. Can we be close to dementia? And I don't care if it's just talking about it, but can we be close? If we're unable to create conversations and ways of being together that fully embody shame, including our sharing, our shame, embarrassment. And I think that's a real question for me now. I personally am not sure we can, but I'm not trying to assert that it's truth. I just think you rarely hear people talk about. And I've heard it some from people living with dementia. I rarely hear it in the broader conversation of okay, well, we're actually we're a shaming culture. That's how, and increasingly that's how we relate to each other. I think we get battered with it, and I think we're feeling ashamed all the time. And I can share for me, and yet it's the hardest. And I was speaking to a colleague and friend yesterday, and she's in the care world, and she was saying it's one of the hardest things for people to even begin to touch. It's just, and it's just ordinary. I'm not saying there's now a capital F shame that appears. It's just, but I want to throw that into it because I'm inviting us to perhaps, I don't know, explore maybe some things we don't explore a whole lot. And I think and the relevance to this is I'm just not sure how empowering conversations can be if we're not able to share the whole gamut of the emotionality and the life experience and what people we would like to share with folks and what it would be helpful to learn about each other and build with from. And so I'm saying this from a how can we build something? It's not a, oh, let's just say the hard things. It's not, it gives us more to build with and create with. And again, coming back to, since we're talking about creating conversations, just rather than just simply having the same scripted conversations that we know how to do. And it can be satisfying. I mean, I'm not a purist. There's a certain comfort sometimes. You meet somebody, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm good. And you say the exact same things you always say. You do the small talk. And I'm actually not anti small talk. I think I love small talk. And there's a comfort to that. There is. So again, I'm not a purist when it comes to, oh, that's the right way to talk about it. But I am, and I feel passionate about our capacity to create conversations that we're all creating together that go somewhere new. I think it's an important part. It's an important addition to the mix.
You know what it made me think of then, Mary? If we have the conversations that we normally have,
yeah,
we can get them wrong. Whereas if we create a conversation, we can't get it wrong.
Yes, I think that's very helpful. Yeah, exactly. And I think and it's interesting you say that because it just occurred to me that maybe shame, when we feel ashamed, it's kind of, maybe it's that space between how we think we should be or how things should be and how they are. Because if you and what you just said was helpful because quote, if you're getting it wrong, well, what's wrong relative to? Like there's got to be some notion of the right way to do it. And there is. I'm not. So yeah, I think what you're saying is very helpful, and I would love to hear from others as well. You can't get it wrong.
Throw your comments in. So we're talking about creating conversations, we're talking about not boxing people, labeling people with the word dementia, and we're talking about shame. Are those the three topics of our conversation today, Mary?
Well, so far maybe we'll create 37 more, but I know it's harder when folks are not in the room and you can see their expressions or whatever, but that's okay. But just in terms of somebody said, Lauren, similar to shame of mental illness, psychosis. Yes, I think there's real similarities. I think the other, and I think, yeah, I agree. I think there is a lot of the same shaming and kind of ostracizing and othering that goes on if you're some, and I think it gets, don't get me wrong, I think there's probably, like, I think dementia and psychosis actually, um, I mean, it always did strike me, like I never, and like I said before, I've never, even when we just first learned about this, I was never a dementia expert. I'm not a dementia expert. I think I know something about living and creating conversations and growing your lives and being more playful. But so when Susan and I started just reading more about dementia, because it hadn't been part of our lives, we weren't sure about, we just didn't know. So we started reading more traditional stuff just to get a feel for it. And I think we were both genuinely shocked. And I mean, I'm a fairly worldly person. Not a lot shocks me, blah, blah, blah. But the vehemence with which dementia was, I mean, just as I said before, the ugliness of it was kind of wacky. But then, and talking and thinking, I mean, and I've had many, many more conversations. But I do think, and because we're a knowing culture. I mean, we put a lot of weight on our capacity to know. That is that is the valued attribute. And that by that knowing, reasoning, memory, understand that whole family of cognitive and where you are on the cognitive hierarchy, so to speak. And knowing is considered, and not just. I'm not talking about, by the way, and I'm not going to try to take this to whatever, but I'm not talking about the knowledge we have. I think knowledge, I love, I mean, I was looking at the world figure skating champions. And I watched that there are two young, a woman and man who won the world skating champions recently. And a friend sent me the videos and to say it was beyond belief to watch them, it was just incredible. And I'm glad somebody knows how to do that. I really am. And I'm glad somebody knows how to train them. And I'm glad somebody knows how to create these wonderful technological things that get us on with each other. Brava. We all, and it's important to know what the green light means. And we all want our surgeons to know have some expertise in surgery. I'm talking about this broader cultural obsession and belief that knowing is the way we will go forward, that we can know what to do, and knowing as that broader framing is that is how we will do it. And I think and what I've been doing for the last 40 years and the practice that I have been trained in, social therapeutics and the Eastside Institute where I work and the broader community that we're a part of, has for 40 plus years been kind of creatively, positively challenging that assumption that somehow we can know our way out of this mess. Or as a book that I read some time ago by a doctor who was writing about it, she said, we're not going to science our way out of this. I mean, it's just not, I mean, immediately to dementia, I actually think science and medicine, unfortunately, are not equipped at all to deal with it. And unless you have a physical problem that medicine can, I'm not saying, but dementia, quad dementia, I think it's played a hurtful role. I really do. Um, but it's playing an increasingly hurtful role in our lives because, and particularly at a moment in our world where it's just not clear. I mean, I don't think anyone knows what to do, and those who insist that they do are not exactly. It's not helping anybody. So, in a way, there's all kinds of reasons to seek out, learn to exercise different kinds of muscles and not just our capacity to know. But coming back to that, the reason I was introducing that is because I think what people lose with dementia, and let's be real, is their abilities to think, to know, to reason, to be rational, to whatever. I think that I really do believe that's a big part of why it gets related to so extremely, and with and people get so quickly isolated and demeaned and dehumanized and kind of told to go home and die and blah blah blah. And I think that's true of a lot of people. I think there are a lot of people who, and including coming back to psychosis and the mentally ill, and I was a therapist for many years. I mean, a lot of people who are treated similarly. Certainly, the mental ill, the people who, in a way, are crazy or so are not, in a way, interacting with the world in the way that we expect or are comfortable with. But even kids, anyone who doesn't learn in the ways that you're supposed to learn, it's just cognitively other. That see, it just relates to the way world in a different way. I think is similarly um, anywhere from undervalued and not seen to in some cases isolated and shut away. And it used to be in asylums, it's not anymore, but we find all kinds of ways to shut people away, and we're not. So I think it's like a big deal. I'm not trying to get like really serious now, but I think that we've got to, part of why I feel so passionately about freeing ourselves from just doing what we know how to do, coming back to what you were saying, is like because I think it's a way we imprison ourselves, and we don't have what we need to make discoveries, to go new places together, to create something new, to create something more positive, to create something that comes closer to what our communities need. So we're disempowered in that way. And conversation and how we know how the conversation is part of that. It's not I think conversation is part of the creation. So anyway, um, I think there's a lot going on here, but I also think we're deeply ashamed if we don't know what to do. I think we're very vulnerable. Um, and whatever, and other emotions, frightened, whatever, suspect of um, creating ways forward that don't rely on knowing, especially if your identity is heavily tied into being a knower. I mean, some of us are. Anyway, do we have other?
We do. So Julie said, I love having the freedom to have discussion about anything. I do.
Mm,
Sometimes if you try to speak about progression and end of life, many friends shut off and can't talk about those things. With my peers, we have that freedom and supported environment. Judith said, it's often the shame of people without dementia that don't want to hear that can be a
yeah.
barrier to a connection.
Mm,
Claire has agreed. I agree. And as those of us without dementia have the cognitive power Mary spoke of, this can halt or prevent proper conversations, I think. And then
mhm.
Margaret said, which is where creative conversations or improv comes in. And then Julie says, having no agenda. Yeah, if people can free themselves enough to be
Yeah.
involved. Yeah, so it's
Yes.
almost sort of letting go of what we think of
Yes.
as conversation.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit different, isn't it? And
Yeah.
just having that freedom to meander, like you said about going for a walk in the park, taking that
Yeah.
alternative path.
Yes, I love what I will pick up on again. For some reason, the names are so like.
Yeah, they're like pale grey, aren't they? Not easy to read.
Yeah, Claire. Oh, good. Hi, Claire. Um, I don't know all of you, but if I know you and I don't acknowledge you, it's just because I'm not seeing your name. But Claire and I have had the good pleasure of chatting, and so anyway, Mark two. Yes, and this is where, and again, I'll come back to kind of why I love improvisation and why I think not just improv as a technique, although I love it. I think everyone would benefit from having an improv class. I really do. Um, However, I think improvisation is a way of seeing the world, a way of being in the world, because amongst other things, and I was thinking about this relative to coming back to, sorry, can you scroll back? I just want to see an earlier comment, and now I think
Yeah,
we've gotten.
I think you can scroll as well.
Oh, I can.
You can.
Oh, Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just because I'm not sure which comment it was that you
Oh,
wanted.
that's okay. It was in a way, it was the comment was saying it's the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's not what they said, but that it was only about 2 or 3 beyond where what I'm seeing. I'm seeing having no agenda, so it's maybe 1 or 2 before that one. Yeah, I mean, I think that what else could it be if we think about it? I mean, and which is why the latter part of that workshop that I did in New Zealand was why the environments we create matter. I think we have an environmental problem. I think we have an environmental problem generally. I just want to add, I think we have an environmental issue when it comes to being with each other and living and growing and thriving. Because, but coming back to dementia, although again, I think please feel free to fill in other blanks. I'm not trying to make, again, I do not believe dementia is, I think it in some ways exemplifies some things, but it's by no means the only place it happens. But, I think that with dementia, I mean, a friend who lives with dementia once said to me, I don't suffer from dementia. I suffer from the attitudes of people around me. And it's like, it's one of those moments where you go, oh, yeah, duh. I mean, we create the environments that surround dementia. I mean, dementia is dementia. And I'm not, again, don't hear this as making light of what it is to be with dementia. I am not. It is stressful. It's expensive. I mean, all the things that we know. And I felt that with my mom, and I feel that. However, I think, for this, I feel, well, 99% sure. I'll give myself an out. That it is the environments we create around dementia that are as much, if not most, of the issue. There is nothing purely called dementia. I mean, or anything. I mean, you're in class. You're at a university. I assume you've been in classrooms, and either on the teaching end or the student end or the. I mean,
Maybe the cleaning end, Mary. Don't make assumptions.
that's right, cleaning end. Well, for the moment, for the purposes of, well, actually, cleaning could pay attention, but it's like we've all been in learning environments, whatever they are, that are just god awful. And I think much of public school, unfortunately, and at least in the States, is like this. I mean, they're not at all interested in developing young kids as learners. I mean, the model, somebody said, and I read something the other day that said if an alien, no, not an alien, if somebody from 1850 came back now, there would be 2 institutions they would have no trouble recognizing. I don't remember the other one. One of them was education. I mean, we haven't moved from our educational model, but regardless of that, if you create an educational environment that says boring, rote, right, nobody's going to learn. No one's going to learn from the sense of developing and growing. You can, I don't happen to think learning is memorizing things or whatever, but think about that. I mean, that's true in homes. If you create a home where everyone is fighting, or it's just, then you're not going to thrive. Or if you're in a relationship where no one's really listening, or it's so in a way, all I'm saying is we create the environments, and we pay, and we're insufficient. We're kind of alienated from ourselves as the creators of those environments, and that they have an impact. And that they shape what it is. There is nothing pure about anything. Nothing is just what it is. It has everything to do with the environment, context, which could be ever changing and ever shifting. So I think it's just an urging or an offering in some ways of we can strengthen those muscles. We can actually become better environment builders. And maybe it starts with, and again, I'm trying to keep, is taking a moment to say, how do we want to do this together? how do we want to have this conversation? And in the most mundane ways, how do I want to buy this vegetable today? I'm not, and it sounds facetious, but it for a moment, it just breaks us out of these scripts, these roles, these kind of things that we're not even happy with. I mean, I don't think that everyone runs around, oh, I'm happy with how it's just that we feel powerless and in a way, and to even make a modest impact that I think could have a big impact. I mean, I'm fine with even that much if we could play with things more.
We do with children, don't we, Mary? We don't
Oh,
have a problem playing with
oh,
children, and like
oh,
everything that you've been talking about, we do that with
oh
children. But for
my
some
God.
reason, we stop doing it with adults, or we don't do it
Oh,
with adults.
and not only do we not do that, we have attitudes about all that. So, and this is in this, I will get on my soap opera for a minute. Anytime I hear, oh, you're relating to older people like children, if you play or if you, and I say bullshit. I wish we would relate to adults the way we relate to babies and toddlers. That would be, and that's in a sense what our work, social therapeutics, is all about. It's actually creating playgrounds for adults of all ages. We play with babies and toddlers all the time. I mean, we're just in there. We're not, and I've said just to get, we never say, like, little babies going, blah, 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 you have a child, blah, 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 blah. And I very much doubt that you and other adults and like we really go, oh, you don't know what you're doing. That's not talking. That makes no sense to me. Go away, find a dictionary, come back when you know how to talk. Oh my God, no. We understand and we're very active environment creators. And the environment is where everyone, and that's the wonderful thing about it, can play, pretend. The babies imitate, they fall, they fail, they get up, they fall down, get up, they fall down, and then they walk, and then they become walkers. And then, in fact, yes, you emerge into the world, and that's how we all learn how to be in the world. And that's the other thing that somebody was saying, which when you were saying, is it about getting it wrong? We in creating environments where actually invites people to get it wrong, because that would be what I would be doing. That's to me part of this empowering conversations, because what else could we do but get things wrong? It's not, but also it's just and again, that shame factor just plays so heavily. And I think, again, the wonderful thing about our improvisational approach is there are always do-overs. Hey, in fact, you can just do it over. Make a mistake, come in, you have the same stupid fight with your partner, your whoever. Well, you also could look at each other and go, oh, well, that wasn't a very good performance. That wasn't our best, creation. So let's recreate it. Hard to do. Yes. Would you feel stupid and kind of maybe like, and yet we have that capacity. We can keep doing it over, and we can make silly faces. And if the way we connect is babbling, then the way we're connecting is babbling. Like, what the difference does it make? And I know there's a lot of cotton wool, as somebody said, Julie. Oh, hi, Julie. Yes. However, we can play with the cotton wool. I'm personally not going to relate to us as powerless in this way. I don't think that. I think we can go beyond these kind of, if there's support. It's a group, it's a collective, it's an environmental activity, it's a community. You can't do it alone. It's not willpower, it's not willing yourself to be, no, it's coming together with whoever wants to come together with you and saying, I want to just have different kind of conversations. Let's see what we can create and make up. And I don't know, see what follows from that. But I think we have that collective, collaborative capacity. And again, you need to keep strengthening those muscles, because our individual muscles are way more developed. So
Mary,
somebody, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I'm conscious that we've only got 6 minutes left. What
Oh
we should
my
have done
God.
is said this is going to be an 8-hour conversation, not an hour conversation. That's my fault. I'm sorry. We should have done an all dayer.
Oh, well, yeah, man. Come on.
I'm
Now we're just
sorry,
getting
everyone.
started. No,
I
I
feel
hope
like
you
you just
feel
warming
ashamed
up.
of yourself. But I just want to say, sorry, I can't read the name again, but the last one is how support people who have dementia. Um, can whoever, and sorry, I apologize for not being able to read them. Can you say a little bit more about what about, and it doesn't have to be directly coming out of our conversation, but can you say a little bit more about what you mean? Because it would helpful in just creating something with that. So while you're doing that, um,
I'm just thinking about things that obviously you've challenged us all to think about things in a different way. And I'm just wondering if we can pull that together as, sort of actions that we all collectively
yeah,
take on board, that we're going to take them away and we're going to give it a go.
yeah. Well, here's two maybe because I want to try to keep it simple and not, I mean, hopefully people can, and obviously I would love to continue finding ways to work with people on exercising those muscles. Aside from that, I guess two things. One, just to introduce a tenet, and some people know this, but a tenet of improvisation is yes and. So the yes is accepting whatever is given to you as an offer. It could be verbal, could not make sense, it's whatever, and it has nothing to do with how you feel about it or whether you want it or whether you think it's important. It's an offer and somebody's giving it to you. Yes, you're accepting it. The and is a commitment and a radical commitment to building and taking that somewhere new with that person.
Can you give us an
And
example?
well, for example, what we often know how to do is to say yes, but or no. So somebody says, "Oh, let's go to the moon." Well, probably your first reaction would be, yes, but you really can't do that. Well, you might say no, but, or I don't know. Why don't we go out on the town? That's, yes, but I'm really tired and da. And so what about saying yes? And why don't let's figure out what that might look like. You know, would love to do that. So it's not I think people hear yes and as one, you're automatically agreeing with everything. And two, you lose your capacity. Now you're creating then what the yes and is, but the acceptance is of the offer, and you're radically seeing and accepting that you're doing something together. It's not this opinion or that opinion. So it's kind of how you're listening, because we often listen. I don't know. We often listen to negate, or we often listen in ways that we're just bad listeners. I'm not pointing any fingers. We kind of listen long enough to hear what somebody's saying to know what we're going to say. You know what I mean? Like we're it's just limited listening. So listening, it's listening to build, listening to go somewhere, listening to expand possibility, listen to discover. I mean, it's not in improv. It's not a question. It's not a you don't ask questions just because it's limits it. But really, I think a human skill we have that I think is probably is genuine curiosity. Oh, tell me more about why, and then allow that to actually move you. It's not. I know when I do this, you say something and you ask somebody to, and then you go, oh no, that's not me. That's not me. I could. Well, fine. I'm not arguing that you should just go out and do everything. But my gosh, why are we so invested in why wouldn't we want to discover, well, maybe we're more than who we think we are, kind of expand that in whatever ways it's not you're comfortable. And, it's just that attitude that we so immediately go to. So the two things that I would offer, and I know we're a minute, is one, I don't care if you say it out loud, but whenever now, even if you're saying it to say yes and, before responding to somebody. So you're listening now in a slightly different way, because now you're listening for the offer. So it means you kind of have to go through with it and then do with it what you will, meaning try to work then on a slightly different performance. Again, it's not a challenge, not. And if you get it wrong, then fine, get it wrong. It's not that, again, part of this is also we're gonna make we don't know how to do this. So it's kind of giving yourself permission to have fun, to bumble, to fumble, to kind of okay here. And again, eventually it's creating that wherever you can find it, the people and the folks who want to do that with you. Meaning you'll learn. Not everybody wants to do this, and that's fine. And I think that's the other important thing between yes and is I don't know. And B, and kind of take a moment to live with shame whenever you're feeling it. And I don't care what it's relative to. It could be fleeting, but you don't have to, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to, but just take a moment and just rest with it. Have it. Don't immediately try to, I think we'll discover something about ourselves and kind of where we're and how ways that we perhaps hold ourselves back and how it might be valuable. So anyway, those are kind of just play with this some.
I don't know how it's got to 2:30. I feel like we've had there's something between London and New York. It's messed with time because that has not been an hour. It cannot have been an hour.
Well, I want to thank you, obviously, and it's been lovely to be back in conversation with you. And I would love to keep doing this and also just maybe some practice. Maybe we could just play with this and do more improvisational kinds of things too. I mean, there's an infinitude of ways we can continue this and I'm down for it. So.
Can we, Mary? Can we do a few more of these this year? Because I've just loved it. And there's like 1,000 things that I wanted to ask that I haven't had the chance to be honest, Mary, if I'm being.
And hopefully one of them we can have Maxine back because I still want to
amazing.
Introduce everyone. Oh yeah, please. I would love to because again,
all fascinating. They all want you back, Mary.
Yeah, because I don't know. We have a lot of support for our scripted activities. At least we need a little space to do the things that are just strange and weird and new. So yes, and I have many friends who do this well. So there's an infinitude of people and opportunities. So yes, and thank you all. I wish I could see your faces, but the people I do know, lovely to be with you. The people I don't know, I'm glad we're now friends and in the same space. But yeah, let's do it again.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you, everyone, for coming along. We are definitely doing this again. We have another webinar on the 23rd of April with Dr. Chloe Bradwell and Dr. Mike Ragg from Leeds Beckett Uni, and they're sharing the work of play work within care home settings. So it's sort of building on this creativity and this play. So I hope you can join us. Mary, it sounds like we need to sort another date out for our part 2.
I love Britishisms. Let's sort it out. Sort it out. All right. Have a playful day and say yes and. Think to yourself yes and at least once today.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mary.
Bye.
Bye-bye.